Welcome to Tash Talks Soul.
Hi and welcome back. Today I wanted to do an episode about something that comes up pretty regularly in my day-to-day conversations. And today I caught up with a friend and we were talking about just this thing, and I thought, I need to do an episode on this. So what I'm going to talk about is signs and synchronicities. Now, if you are on social media and follow certain accounts, or if you partake in the spiritual community and consume that sort of information, even if just through Googling, you might have come across people talking about signs and synchronicities. And maybe you know exactly what I'm talking about, maybe you don't. If you don't, then this episode is for you. So, signs and synchronicities are generally believed to be messages from the universe to guide you along, to confirm whether you're on the right path, to nudge you towards a certain direction, and basically like little breadcrumbs for you to follow. Like from that story, Hansel and Gretel, the signs and synchronicities from the universe are the breadcrumbs in that story. And it's essentially a conversation with the universe. So some different types of signs and synchronicities, it may be angel numbers. That's a really common one. So seeing repeating patterns of numbers. And I don't mean you see it once or twice. I generally believe that for something to be considered a pattern, it needs to happen 3 or more times. Or maybe as you evolve in your conversation with the universe, maybe you'll see it a couple of times in a short span of time. Maybe in 10 minutes you see it come up twice. And for you, your intuition tells you, pay attention, this is something important. So in the event of angel numbers, that might be seeing 1111 or 333 or 222, 444, 1010, 1212, 123, whatever it may be. Every single number carries a vibration, and I can do an episode on what the individual angel numbers mean, or a collection of the most common ones. I do have them on my Instagram at Tash Talks Soul. I do have a couple of posts going through some of the most common angel numbers if you want to go ahead and take a look. But I won't go into that detail right here, right now. So if you are seeing angel numbers, you can do a quick Google, see what comes up, and see whether that resonates, whether there's any sort of guidance there for you. You might see them on number plates, generally out and about. You might see them coming up in phone numbers or house signs, or like one of my friends, she dreams about them. So these numbers come to her in dreams, and then she wakes up, she looks them up and finds that they really quite resonate with what's going on in her life and guidance that she needs to maybe pay attention to. I know for myself, usually I pay attention to this when I'm driving, and I might be driving along thinking a particular thought, and then I'll see 666. And to me, that's, okay, watch that thought, almost like the tarot hanged man card. Shift your perspective. Is there another way to look at this? Reframe it, not be so negative. So to me, that's immediate feedback. Or I might be driving along and worrying about something and obsessively thinking about something that's just on my mind, stressing me out. And I'll see 222 or 2222 or even 5 2s in a row. And to me, the more numbers there are, the stronger the message, the stronger the vibration of those numbers. And 222 for me in a conversation is stop worrying. It's okay. Everything's okay. Stop worrying. And to me, it's like instant feedback. And I see these numbers literally all day, every day. So that's the way that my relationship with angel numbers works, is that it's kind of like an ongoing dialogue. And I found there to be quite some value in it over the years. For other people, it might be different. So just because that's my experience doesn't mean that everybody's relationship with angel numbers is the same. You could also intentionally use angel numbers to increase your vibration of a certain flavor. So if you're looking for maybe, more guidance from angels and connection to source, and just I don't know, 333 is a great number for that. So you might maybe wear a necklace with that. I personally wear a necklace with 888 because I want to shift into a more abundant state of thinking and being and attracting opportunities and just being in a state of gratitude and abundance. I would like more of that in my life, and so I am wearing this necklace. And honestly, since wearing it, maybe it's placebo, but since wearing it, I feel like I have been attracting a lot of opportunities into my life. There's been a lot of changes and a lot of exciting things have developed and happened, and for that I'm eternally grateful. Now, another type of sign or synchronicity might be that you start noticing certain imagery or certain words or people's names. It's kind of the way that I look at it as a guide to pay attention to is when it's just uncanny, where things are just, it's just too much of a coincidence. So maybe it might be you think of a ladybird or it comes up in conversation about a certain issue. And then as you're going through your day, you see about 12 different ladybirds. And you could argue that it's your reticular activating system. You've programmed your brain to pay attention to ladybirds because you've told it that for today, that image is important to me, but it's still uncanny. And so noticing things like that, or you might be thinking about a situation with somebody and then you drive past a street and then it's their name. And you just think, what? And then, a bus might drive past and then their name's on the bus, and you might drive past a shop and then their name's in the shop window or on a poster or something, and all this in the span of 5 or 10 minutes, and you just think, what is going on? Okay, what do I need to know about this person? This is just really like confirmation that, okay, what I'm thinking about, I need to pay attention to this. Or it might be that even silly little things like the other day I was driving, and to me this is a sign of being in alignment. So when things are going your way, things just seem to tick between thought and reality very, very quickly. I was driving in my car, and this is in the span of about 3 seconds. I thought Bob. I don't know why, it just popped into my head, Bob, Bob, Bob. And I'm standing at the lights and thinking Bob, and there's one car drive past and it's got 808. And I think to myself, that's funny, that kind of looks like Bob. And then the next car drives past and it's literally B-O-B, Bob. And so in the span of about 3 seconds, I had 3 Bobs pop into my awareness, and it was just so random. And things like that can happen all the time. It's almost this bizarre coincidence of you think something in your head and then it immediately happens. And some people say the faster it happens, the more in alignment you are. But I feel like I look at my life and I think, am I really in alignment? Well, not in some areas, but every now and then I'll have these stolen moments of just bizarre, uncanny coincidences, and it just makes me giggle a little bit and adds a little bit of magic to my day as I go about my life. But things like that, or you might wake up in the morning and think something like, oh gosh, imagine if that happens, and then it happens that day. And I mean, I have a million examples of this in my life, but you could look at it as a synchronicity from the universe. And you might have other examples. You think of somebody that you haven't seen or spoken to in a long time, and then they just turn up that day. You bump into them, or they call you, or some form of communication, and you think, what on earth? What a coincidence. Or you might have dreams, and in your dreams certain things come up that are then playing out in your life. Again, you might dream of a scenario and it happens, or you might dream about a person and then you meet them, and things just, or you might be going along the street and there's a particular issue that is going through your mind. Now, this happens to me all the time, especially with social media. There might be an issue that I'm kind of dwelling and marinating in, and it's preoccupying the forefront of my thoughts, and I might meet a random stranger at the checkout line at the shops, for example, and they say something that is just so on point and so relevant to what I'm going through that it's almost like angels are speaking through them, and it's exactly what I need to hear, and it is just bizarre. Or with the social media, I might jump onto Facebook and I'll be having an issue in my life, and I open it and the first thing that pops up is something that is exactly about what I'm going through, and there is some form of guidance or some form of reassurance or something that makes me go, wow, either Facebook can read my mind, which I don't know, maybe it can, but it's exactly what I need to see and hear in that moment. And there have been times where I have been absolutely in tears, emotionally crippled by something that has happened, and I open Facebook and the first thing I see is, honestly, it's like the angels are speaking to me, and it's exactly what I need to read and hear about my exact situation. And I think, thank you. I really needed that. And that's just a couple of examples that I've brought up of things, synchronicities and signs that show up in my life. I'm sure that you can think of many, many more. Maybe you've experienced many, many more. If you have, leave a comment, let me know. I love hearing about the uncanny things that happen. When my friends and I talk about this, it absolutely just blows my mind the way that things work out, or the way that things are kind of structured and tiered, where it's a series of chain reactions that lead you from one place to the next. And when you look back at it retrospectively, you just think, wow, that was so divinely orchestrated. I have no other words for it. It was just meant to be. It was all part of a greater plan. And regardless of whether you are spiritual or religious or have faith, I think if nothing else, and if you don't believe in this and don't believe that there's divine guidance and that we all follow a particular path and the world is just chaos unhinged, then maybe just look at this and look at it as nothing more than just a bit of magic in your day. Just a little bit of something to make you go, this is cool. And I know some people, there's a current train of theory of thought going around the internet at the moment that we're all living in a simulation like the Matrix, and that half the world's population, or whatever the number is, NPCs, non-playable characters from video games, basically just organic nothings walking around just to beef up the simulation, and they don't have souls and they don't have destinies, and they're basically, if you play video games, an NPC. It's interesting to think about. I'm not sure what my opinion or perspective is on that matter, but even if you don't have faith and don't believe in any of that stuff, even looking at it and going like, oh, this is an example that we're in the Matrix, or, this is just like a video game and it's a bit of entertainment and a bit of fun. And sometimes I think when we don't take life too seriously and look for these little moments of coincidence and synchronicity and guidance, and if you do have faith and you apply to it, like right now on the clock is 717, and I see that number all the time, 717, 7:07 minutes. It just, all day, every day I see that. Maybe I should Google that and see what that means, because I do see that one a lot, but I digress. It's just a little bit of magic and a little bit of fun in your day. And if you do have faith, then if you are feeling like you're yearning for a bit of guidance, a little bit of confirmation that you're on the right path, pay attention to it. Google it. See what it means. Talk about it. See what comes up for you. People say, seeing things like feathers. Certain feathers mean certain things. Certain colours have certain meanings. That feathers are a communication from loved ones that have passed away. That could be something that comes up for you. And I'd be remiss not to mention that, not to get too caught up on signs and synchronicities. You might have a particular sign that's your thing from the universe, where, for example, for me, that can be sunflowers. Or at one point it was rainbows, or sometimes it varies day to day, but there have been a few pervasive themes and images in my life that, to me, when that comes up, that's usually a sign to pay attention. So try not to assign too much meaning to these things though, because if a sign comes up for you and you think, oh wow, this is meant to be, I take this as a sign from the universe that this is for me, this is my next breadcrumb, my next yellow brick on the yellow brick road to follow. And sometimes it's just not. And then it's easy to lose faith in the universe. And if your faith is important to you, the way that you could look at it, and this is something that brings me comfort, is that, okay, it might not be this exact thing that's for me, but this is a spotlight showing me, pay attention to what comes next. You're on the right path. This is where your focus needs to be. Not this exact situation, but just stay open and just keep this in the forefront of your mind, because this is where the next step is. It's of the same flavour. It's on this theme. You're on the right path. Keep going. So if your faith is important to you, that could be a more empowering way of looking at it. If your faith is not important to you, if that's not how you go through life, then that's okay. You can look at situations like that and just think, oh, I got excited and it was nothing, so it's all or nothing. But again, I think anything that comes up in our lives that makes us pause and go, oh, that's a bit interesting, that adds a little bit of spice to my life, something to think about, just something I've noticed, a little coincidence I've picked up on. I think, hey, what the heck, embrace it. If it makes you smile or makes you pause and think, makes you look at the world a slightly different way, even just for a moment, then go with it, embrace it. Anyway, let me know what you think, whether you have signs and synchronicities that come up for you. Maybe even if you have something that keeps coming up that you just don't know what it means and you want to brainstorm together, let me know. Maybe we can find out what's going on for you. But I hope you have a great day. See ya. Bye. Hi and welcome back. So before we kick off, I just wanted to do a little happy dance and say hooray for our 21st episode, because apparently of all the podcasts, 90% stop recording before they hit 3 episodes. And of the 10% that remain, 90% of those don't make it to 20 episodes. So hip hip hooray, here we are for our 21st episode and still going strong. So thank you so much for listening and supporting, and don't forget to rate the show and leave your comments and give me feedback. I've had so many wonderful messages from people, and just to know that people are listening from all over the world and that the show's resonating with them is really beautiful. So please give me a feedback if you've got any, and if you want to hear me talk about a particular topic, then let me know as well. So on that note, let's get into the episode.